I'm going to share with you today 5 things you must know. You need to know these things. 5 things. This isn't basic stuff. 5 things that you must know before buying a luxury home in Miami or South Florida, Miami or surrounding areas. So I'm going to be sharing my screen a lot with you, and this is going to be a long video, but I definitely recommend that you watch all of it because, if you're buying a luxury home, and so for this video, let's say a luxury home is like 1.5 million or more in South Florida. It used to be probably about 1 million, but whether it's a single family home or a condo, assume you're spending 1.5 million or more. And if you are, make sure you watch this video because if you're going to invest that much money, there are 5 things that you need to know that'll definitely give you a much better understanding of buying a property in Miami. So I'm going to be sharing my screen a lot. Let me go there. Okay, so perhaps you came to Miami and say you don't live here. And most of our clients now that we're getting are from California, all parts of California, Southern, Northern California. And just for your knowledge, besides that, we're getting people from the Northeast, just like always, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, um, all other areas there, Boston, Chicago, which obviously is not on the Northeast coast, DC. So we're getting a lot of people moving here, and many of the people moving here are moving here, especially for luxury homes, because of taxes. So perhaps you're here, you're visiting here, or even if you're in Miami and you haven't bought a luxury home yet, these 5 things that I'm going to share with you are going to give you a much better perspective on what to do, what your expectations should be, whether you choose to do business with our team or someone else. These things will help you quite a bit. And like I said, the video may be a little bit longer, but it's worth spending the time to listen to it instead of doing the research or finding out by making some mistakes. So perhaps you're in Miami, you went to Miami Beach. This is a photo of a new listing that we're getting. It's a celebrity's place, and we're just working out the details to make sure we can use the celebrity's name to market the property. But anyways, I'm gonna refer back to this property. This is a condo. It's roughly 2,000 square feet. It's in Miami Beach. It's in South Beach. It's $5 million. So, anyways, like I mentioned, 5 things you must know before buying a luxury home in Miami. When I say home, it could be a single family home or a condo. So I'm going to start with number one. Let me just get right to it. Number one, taxes. Like I mentioned before, people are moving here because we don't have a state tax. So you can save a lot of money net on what you would make in living being a resident of Florida compared to like being a resident of California or many other parts of the country, New York or many other places where people are moving from to come to Florida. So taxes, when I say taxes, I'm talking about property taxes. A lot of people don't know how taxes are done here in Miami. And so typically what they do is they look at a listing and they see the taxes on the property. But if you do that, that's not the best thing to do because taxes could be all over the place here. If it's a new construction property, the property can't maybe is not assessed at the correct number. Maybe if you're buying a property and the previous owner lived in it, because if you have a place, if you have a place where it's your primary residence, also called a homesteaded property, your taxes in South Florida can only go up 3% a year. So I'll give you an example. So say you live in a place and you've lived there 25 years, and obviously the market 25 years ago is probably you probably paid quite a bit less than it's worth today. But every year it only went up 3%. Your taxes could be significantly less than if your neighbor bought and say it's a condo and your neighbor has the identical unit that you have and you live there 25 years, your taxes only went up 3%, but your property is appreciated exponentially since you bought it. Compared to that to a person that bought it this year or last year, and the taxes are way, way more because there was no 3% saved each year. So we have um, we have some legislation in progress, not progress, that we've had for a while. It's Save Our Homes taxes, and basically it can only go up 3% a year. So taxes can be significantly less on one property compared to the next. The whole point I'm trying to make is do not use those taxes on the current listing that you're looking at to gauge what you will be paying taxes in the future. If you're doing that, you're not doing the right thing. Typically, taxes are, and there's a website actually, it's on miami-dade.gov. It's a website that you can put the properties, it's called the folio number, basically like the ID number of the property. You could put down what you're going to pay approximately, and it'll give you a breakdown of what a very, very good estimate of what the taxes will be. And if you want me to send you that information, just reach out to me, whether you're listening to this on a podcast or you're watching it on YouTube or any other social platform. Just reach out to me. My information will be there on any of these platforms, and I'll be happy to send you that link. But just to make it easy, just to get an idea of what your taxes are, again, this is a guesstimate. It's not going to be 100% accurate, but it's going to be accurate enough for you to make a decision on the property. And if when you're buying a property, if your budget is so tight on a property where a few, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 a month makes a difference. I'm not saying that I'm off going to be off that much because I'm not, but say 1,000 or 2,000 a month is going to make a huge difference on purchasing the property. What say it's 1,000? If it's that tight, don't buy the property. Buy something less expensive. The last thing I want you to do, or pretty much most real estate agents want you to do, is buy a home that you should fall in love with, but be so tight with your budget where it really hurts you to live in that property. It's not worth it. You know, you'll love the property in the beginning, but more than loving it every month, you'll be hating it because you can't afford it. So the taxes. So a good gauge, a good estimate of the taxes on the property are 2%. So say you're buying a $5 million property, typically your taxes are going to be slightly less than 2%. It could be like 90,000, 100,000, give or take. Sometimes it's a little bit more than 2%. Sometimes it's a little bit less than 2%. And even if you buy it and it's less than that, it's going to reassess most probably the next year. So with that said, the taxes are higher here on on properties that people buy. Our taxes are higher compared to California, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's 1% of the price or something similar to that. But they have such higher taxes and everything else. It's still a huge net gain, net win for people to move to Miami in savings. So again, taxes roughly about 2%. If, once you get your tax bill, there are ways of fighting it where you could hire people, where you can consign with someone, where you don't pay money unless they save you money on the taxes. If you want me to help you with that, just reach out to me again, direct message, whatever, however you want to reach out to me. I'll send you a few different options that you can choose. Okay, so taxes is number one. Number two, let me see if I can scroll down. So number two is insurance. Okay, so in Florida, our insurance, when I say insurance, our homeowners insurance. So I'm giving you an example. So single family homes, because it's pretty much any area that you live in the world, there are usually going to be huge pros and huge cons living in that place. So living in South Florida, some huge pros. First of all, we have great weather. Our properties are significantly less expensive than like New York or Northern California, Chicago for the most part, big places like Paris or Hong Kong and just other places with that have a name association like Miami, where anyone in the world, when you say Miami, is going to know where Miami is. Where likewise, if you say Paris or New York or Chicago or wherever, something like that, they'll know. So definitely some pros, but the con, one of the biggest cons is we have hurricanes every once in a while. So I've lived in Miami since I was 4 years old, Miami Beach and Miami. And with that said, during that time, we've had every year you have hurricane warnings pretty much, or hur, hurricane warnings, hurricane, I forgot what the other terms are, but basically we're warned about a pending or possible hurricane. And but in all those years, there's only been knock on wood, um, three hurricanes that have actually taken place since I've lived here, and I'm much older than 4 years old. So it's been many, many years, and we've had three hurricanes. But with that said, our homeowners insurance is much higher than most places. Give you an example. My wife and I live in a place called Pinecrest. Our homeowners insurance is about $12,000. So it is definitely higher than a lot of other places. But again, the net savings of living in Miami are huge. So again, number one, our property taxes are higher. It's roughly 2% of the value. Number two, the insurance, expect it to be more than what you're probably paying where you're at. I would highly recommend you get a quote from insurance. And again, I'm not trying to like give you a ton of people to, you have to use my guy or this guy or whoever it is or gal. I'll be happy to give you recommendations, but I'd also recommend you like using Google and check out reviews that people are giving. Maybe Nextdoor, the social platform Nextdoor, or anything. Just do your due diligence on what insurance should be on the property that you're purchasing. If it's a single family home, it's going to be exponentially more than if it's a condo. So number three are HOA fees. Okay, so that property that I showed you in the beginning, that $5 million property, it's a pretty cool building actually. Since we don't have it on the market yet, I can't give you too many details on it. But in that building, I can't give you like an address, but I can give you some hints. So that property is 18 stories. It's in a building. It's 18 stories, but there are only 10 people, that 10 different units out of 18 stories. It's crazy. So they have amenities, they have parking, so they have many things in the building. So, but only 10 units are in an 18-story building, something unheard of. Usually in an 18-story building, you can have, over 100 people in the building. But in this case, there's only 10 people that live in the building, 10 units, not people, because each unit typically has more than one person. So in this building, in this property, I'll show it to you again. So this property, this has a huge balcony. You can see the ocean there. It's in an awesome area of South Beach. But anyways, this unit, the maintenance fee is about $5,600 per month. That doesn't include taxes. That's just the homeowners association fee of 5,600. So I'm going to go back to number three. So the with these properties that you're purchasing, if they're condos or townhomes, sometimes single family homes, but the HOA fees for single family homes are traditionally much less than condos. So the main reason are there are a few reasons why. One of the main reasons for most buildings, maybe not this one, but it has something to do with it, is part of the HOA fee is the insurance cost, the building insurance. I really hope you can't hear the lawnmower or the edging outside. If you do, I apologize for that. I have my AirPods. Hopefully, it's blocking out the noise with Zoom, but if if you can hear it, I'm sorry about that. So, anyways, the HOA fees are going to be pretty high because one of the components of the HOA fee is the insurance for the building. So that means the exterior walls, that means like the common areas, that means everything, the structure. But what it doesn't include are the floors inside the unit, everything inside the unit, basically the floors, the appliances, any liability you wanted to purchase for like if someone gets hurt in your unit. So those fees aren't covered, but that makes it those, typically insurance is significantly less because of that. So it could be like only a few thousand a year if you have um, just the interior insurance that you're paying. The exterior, the building insurance is typically going to be much higher because it includes the homeowner's insurance. If it's a townhouse, sometimes it includes, if the HOA fee is typically on the high side, higher than what maybe you would expect compared to like properties. It could be, if it has like a unit number, that means it's usually the townhouse has a legal description, condo, where that means the roof is covered with the HOA fee. If it doesn't have a unit number, then typically you need to purchase the roof coverage with your homeowner's insurance. So that's a little bit different. So HOA fees, make sure that you find out what the exact number is because they can be a lot higher than maybe what you expect. Number four, escrow deposits and variations. So I know a lot of agents around the country. Our team, there's five of us on our team. It's obviously me. We have Jade on the team, Will, Vico, and Donna. So what's pretty cool about our team, and this is like an aside, is we have so many different nationalities, and there's Melissa Mago as well. Mel for short is Filipino. I'm Indian. Jade is American. Vico is Syrian. He's Jewish. Also, Donna she's Puerto Rican, Honduran. Will is Cuban and German. So we have a lot of different nationalities on our team, which is pretty cool. But with that said, because we know so many people around the world and around the country, we know that every real estate market is slightly different than others. So I'll give you an example. In Atlanta, I have a friend, Laura. Laura's a very good friend of mine, and she's an agent there. And the escrow deposits there are significantly less than they are here. In New York and California, just depends where you're at. California, they're different. So California is so big, so there are many different variations of escrows. In New York, it's closer to how Miami is. So I'll give you an example. The variations. First of all, are you financing or are you paying cash? If you are financing, and sorry about the noise again, and if you're not hearing that noise, you must be thinking I'm crazy because you're like, what noise? What noise? But anyways, if you are financing a property, so I'm going to give you an example. Let's stick with the $5 million property. If you are paying cash for that property, typically, again, this is a negotiable item when you're purchasing a property, but typically escrow deposit for a $5 million property is 10%. So that escrow deposit for that $5 million property would be $500,000. So that escrow deposit goes towards your purchase. It's going to go towards basically, it goes towards since you're paying cash, it would be the balance, closing costs, and all that. Um, and assuming you do everything that you're supposed to in the contract, you're not going to lose it. I mean, if you choose to back out of the deal during the time you have the option to do that, you get your escrow deposit back. So where does the escrow deposit go to? In South Florida, in Miami, you have two options. You could either use a real estate attorney, which let's say 95% of our clients do, or you can use a title company. You can use either. The buyer in South Florida, in Miami, has the option to pick who they want to close the transaction for them. In some cases, where it's sometimes it's a newer development, newer construction, or it's a foreclosure, which are like next to none now, or short sales, which I haven't seen a short sale in years. Um, with those, with foreclosure, short sale, or developer sales, usually um, the seller will pick the closing agent. And typically, what happens, it's not 100%, but typically, when the seller picks the closing agent, it doesn't mean that you can't hire your own attorney. You can, but the one that actually closes the transaction would be if the seller picks them, typically they would pay for the buyer's title insurance. It doesn't always happen because on new construction, it doesn't always happen. It usually doesn't happen. But on a typical sale, if the seller selects the closing agent, the title company, or the real estate attorney to close the transaction, they typically pay for the buyer's title insurance. So that's where your escrow deposit would go. So you can do it in multiple ways. Sometimes people do the escrow. So say in this case, it's $5 million property. You're putting 500,000 down. You could, you can split it up. You can do it different ways. You could put, 50,000 now, and after your inspection period, you put the other 450,000. However you want to do it is fine. It's a negotiable item. It doesn't mean that your offer will get accepted, but you can choose to do whatever you want with your offer. Um, if it's a finance sale, it's typically 5%. So in this case, if it's the same $5 million property, your escrow deposit would be 250,000. Okay, so half, 5% or 10%. On new construction, it's different. On new construction, they typically have different, I guess, payment. It's like I'm trying to figure out the best way to put it. But I'm not coming to that the way to say it. But basically, you'll have a few different payments throughout the transaction. So if you're buying new construction, depending on the building, the developer chooses their own payment structure. So like it could be at the signing of the contract for the unit you're purchasing, you would give 10%. Then potentially like after that, after you maybe in a month later, 30 days later, you give another 10%. Maybe then in the future, at building top off, you give another 30%, I mean, another 10%, and then at closing, you give the remainder. Each building is different, but if it's new construction, it's typically much higher than even if you were paying cash for a regular purchase with the escrow deposit. There are some things that you can do. Some lenders will lend you the money for the deposits, but that's a little bit more technical. I'm not going to get into that because it doesn't always exist. That's more the exception to the rule than the rule. So if you're buying new construction, typically expect to end up putting like 30, 40, 50% deposit prior to it closing out of pocket. Okay. So number five, this is the most important thing, the dynamics of the current market. So, what are the dynamics of the current market when you're buying a luxury home? The best way I could say it is your agent's going to know. So, like one of the things I was saying is like with escrow deposits. Can you put if you're paying cash, can you put less than 10%? Yeah, you can put 2% or 1%. You can put very little, but the odds are it's not going to get accepted or it's going to get counter offered. So in our market right now, basically this is my 18th year doing real estate, and in my 18 years there was another real estate boom in the past between 2004 to 2000 about 7 where it was really busy, but that wasn't even close to how busy it is now. In the past, it was sort of like fake money, meaning anyone could get a loan if you had great credit and the person made 30,000 a year, but they had something called what was it, a stated income loan. The person had great credit and they stated that they made whatever they made. Say they stated that they made 200,000. They didn't need to prove it, but they had great credit. They could end up getting like $800,000 property, $1 million property, and without showing their income. And unfortunately, a lot of people in those days and times would lie about their income. They made 30, 40 grand. They said they made 200. They bought a $800,000 property and the market was so good back then. After they got it, they sold it in a couple months and they made a lot of money. So even though the market was really strong then, it is significantly stronger than it's significantly stronger now than it was then. The main difference, besides having even less inventory now than in the past, we're getting way more people that are moving here in South Florida from all the areas I mentioned, California, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Vermont. We're getting Boston, Chicago, basically all the Northeast and the West Coast as well in Chicago. But what's also making it much stronger for a seller and why values have gone up so much are because a lot more people are paying cash. We're probably 35, 40% and much higher in different price points than in the past. So people are putting a great deal of cash. They're either purchasing cash or they're putting a big down payment. And with this, because there's such low inventory, it's a huge buyer's market. I'll give you an example. 3 years ago, I sold a property in a place called Palmetto Bay. I sold a property for 630,000. It was a normal home. It was a nice home. It was like, a Ford 2.5, had a pool, two-car garage, decent sized lot, slightly less than a half an acre. And it was in Palmetto Bay, which is a nice area in Miami, a very like suburban area with good schools and stuff. Sold for 630 3 years ago. This person is thinking about selling it. This family's thinking about selling it, moving to another part of Florida. And that property, when I saw it the other day, is probably worth $1.1 million. So went up like, almost 500,000 in um, 3 years. So it almost doubled, slightly less than doubling in 3 years. So the market is crazy for a buyer. So I mean, for a seller. So if you're a buyer and you're trying to buy a property now, if you try and nickel and dime and you try and negotiate a lot, you're not going to get anything. And our team is really, really good at helping people get their offers accepted. We have a bunch of things that we've learned from mistakes and things that we've learned from other agents and just the research that we've done. We've gotten really good at negotiating the things that we can negotiate. We realized a long time ago there's certain questions that we can ask that'll help. And so with that, we're doing a lot better, but it's still a seller's market now. So if you're going to be a buyer now in Miami, you're buying a luxury home, you're going to be competing against people that have to buy, meaning they've transferred here, they're moving here, they have to buy, and their agents, a lot of them are great agents, but a lot of agents aren't great. And where their agent hasn't like set their expectations up, haven't really taught them much, whether it's in the contract or it's the dynamics of the market or didn't ask the right questions, a million different things. And the buyer is getting offer after offer after offer after offer not accepted. So these people, and what I've seen a lot is because people are, especially luxury homes, a lot of buyers, pretty much the typical luxury buyer is doing well in life. Typically it's not an inheritance, but they've done so well in life that they can buy, these very expensive homes. And when that's said, they're used to being told that whatever they're doing is correct. So they're used to being right, and they're used to getting their way in a nice way, or sometimes in a not so nice way, but they're used to getting their way. So all of a sudden, these people, a lot of them, are trying to buy a property and they keep getting told no, no, no. And because of human nature is to like have sort of an ego, especially if you're doing well in life, to not get, the door shut on them for their offer, especially. So with that, it becomes emotional. And a lot of the buyers they just want to win. They don't care anymore about overpaying. They don't care about like getting rid of their inspections, paying way over the appraised value. They just want to win. So these are the people you would be competing against if you are buying a property, and especially a luxury property now, because we're getting a ton of people moving here to save taxes, to save on their net amount that they're going to be making per month. But they're losing out. A lot of these people are losing out on their offers, and they're offering crazy stuff. So I'm not trying to get you to not purchase, and I'm not trying to get you to purchase. I'm just telling you how it is. So, you're competing against those people. The good thing, though, if I had to say the good thing, though, is if you're overpaying, typically, typically, the property's still going up every month because our inventory is so, so tight. Last year, I made a mistake. I predicted like by the middle of the year, maybe by like April, May, June. Um, that our market would slow down tremendously. It hasn't done any of that. And I did finance in college and I worked for a hedge fund company. But with that said, I was still wrong with the market. And so our market is as hot as it's ever been. So even if you end up overpaying, the odds are, I can't guarantee it, but the odds are the property value after you pay, someone will probably pay more in your same neighborhood, same building, or wherever it is, and you will still get equity, most probably. So know the dynamics of the current market, and each market is differently. Miami is so hyper local. Basically, there's so many different areas of Miami, and each market is a little bit different than the other. We could have markets where it's a huge seller's market, and we can have areas in Miami where it's barely a seller's market. Your agent will know if you need help from us, our team, just reach out to me and I'll be able to give you the specifics of the area you're looking at. And it's not just the area, it's the price range. We look at a million things. We look at basically we look at things through the eyes of a buyer and a seller, and we have like our own, I guess it's not really, but our basically like our algorithm, how we figure out everything to give you the best shot of getting the home by looking at a ton of different data points. And so, yeah, so those are the five things that you basically I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Those are five things that you have to know, that you need to pay attention to. Write it down, pause the video and write those five things down. And if after you write those five things, you don't know, like you don't remember what I told you, do one of two things. Either watch the video again or reach out to me, and our team will be happy to help you and share with you the dynamics, because the bottom line is we do this every day and you probably don't. So we're so used to the trend changes. We can see things happening typically before anyone else does. And like, just to give you an example, in the past, in a market, if you're a buyer and say you're buying in a neighborhood, I live in Pinecrest, that's a part of Miami. And so, say you're buying a property in Pinecrest, typically what you would do is you would look at homes that sold in the past, and you would look at, so say there was a property that closed, that the sale closed 3 months ago, and say today is like, we're getting close to the end of March. Today is March 28th. I cheated a little bit. I looked at the date. So it's March 28th. So if it closed 3 months ago, so basically say we're in April, say it closed 3 months ago. say it closed in January, typically that would be a good comp. But our market is so tight right now with such limited inventory. Let's look at it this way. That property that sold 3 months ago, it probably had an accepted offer 30 to 60 days prior to that. So let's say it's 60 days. So instead of closing 3 months ago, it basically an offer was accepted on that property 5 months ago. So if you look at the market from 5 months ago, so that's basically, I don't know, like November, December. And if you look at November, December, the real estate market then compared to now, roughly April, it's huge. It's such a different market. So you can't use comps. You have to use other things. And like I said, we have all these different data points that will help you figure it out and give you the best possible chance of getting your offer accepted. So hopefully this video helps you. Wanted to tell you one last thing, couple last things. Um, One of the last things is the team and I have created this in my mind is the best Miami neighborhood guide around. It's still a work in progress. So I'll give you this example. So this is what I did. So last year, I think it was about April of last year, I realize that everyone knows that's not in Miami for the most part. No, Miami is Miami, meaning Miami Beach is Miami, Coconut Grove is Miami, Coral Gables is Miami, Miami is Miami. But as a local, as someone that's lived in Miami for 40 plus years, I know Miami as different areas. Coconut Grove, Pinecrest, Palmetto Bay, um, Morningside, Bal Harbor, Sunny Isles Beach, just different areas of Miami. So I picked out like 35 or 40 of these different hyperlocal areas, and we have 5 blogs on each of them. So the blog is, I'll give you an example. So say it's South Beach. First thing would be explore South Beach. It gives you a little history of South Beach. It tells you about like basically and how many people live there, a little history story of South Beach. Next thing would be, so that's the first blog. Second blog is 5 things you may not know about South Beach. So to give you even more of an in-depth education on South Beach or any of these other areas, these 35 or 40 other areas that we picked out. The next thing would be 5 things to do in South Beach. Obviously, there are way more than 5 things in South Beach, but in each area, we pick out 5 things that you can do. Next thing is 5 places to get dinner in South Beach, 5 different restaurants where you can eat, where we give you, a breakdown of these 5 different places. And then the last blog is 5 places to get dessert, because it's pretty cool to go to one place for dinner and then after that, just go somewhere else for dessert, because why be limited to just one place for dinner and dessert? So we have those different options. And the last thing we did is we did a neighborhood video. We're working on probably 40 of these neighborhood videos. We've probably done about 20 plus neighborhood videos. So yeah, I'm excited about that because we were getting so many people. And whether you're buying or not, if you're just visiting Miami, I got the idea because of this. I would always get people coming to Miami and say, "Hey, I'm coming to Miami. I'm going to Wynwood. I'm going to Brickell. I'm going to Midtown or wherever else in Miami they're going. What should I do? Where should I eat? Tell me a little bit about it. Do you have a video of it?" And I'm like, let me just create this neighborhood guide. So the team and I and all of us have been working pretty hard on this, and I'll share a link to that. And hopefully this video helped you. And like I said, like I always say, thank you so much for watching our videos. If you like our content and you want to watch our videos the second they're released, make sure to hit that notification bell, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and you'll get our videos as soon as they're released. And also, if you like our video, like or comment. If you think there are things that we can do better, please comment on it and we'll do our best to improve. And if we could do anything to help you find a place, sell a place anywhere in the world, not just Miami, we have connections everywhere. Just let us know and we'll be happy to help you. Last thing I have to say, so for those of you that have been watching my hair transplant journey, in case you're wondering why I'm sharing my hair, I am roughly just under 8 months into it. I had 3,300 grafts put in my head. Dr. Alan J. Bauman, if I'm not mistaken. He's one of the best hair transplant surgeons in the world. He's got so many awards for that. I did a video of me being there. The team of videographers created the video. I'm going to create some more videos. I'm going there April 11th for my, it was going to be 6 months, but he's so busy. So it'll be roughly my 8 month progress report. We're going to film another video. And yeah, it takes roughly about a year and a half to get your full growth. So I'm probably like 60, 70% in. I'm really happy with the results. Um, if you check out my other videos from about a year ago, you'll see that I have way less hair. So, anyways, enough about that. Thanks again so much for watching and hope to meet you in person one day if we haven't met already. Take care. Love you guys. All the best.